Neighbours is tame. Although I think really Karl Kennedy probably should start, cooking meth.
Welcome, Alan Fletcher.
Hello.
Hello,
Lovely
sir.
to be here.
Now, if it's not weird of me to say so, I see you as an Alan Fletcher, but I also see you as a Dr Karl Kennedy in sort of equal measures.
Not weird at all.
Do you get what I mean?
I actually answered to Karl. It's a bit pathetic, really.
Do you get that in the street?
I do. People going, Karl, Karl. One day someone went, Karl. I went, oh, they said, no, who are you? No, he was talking to his mate going, Karl down there.
Okay. Alan, here are the headlines. Neighbours is back.
Neighbours is back, baby. Big time. It's amazing. Yeah. Just amazing.
You excited to
well, the thing I'm most excited about is 5.5 million Brits watched this last episode, right, cumulatively. So will they tune into the first episode? Yeah, I mean, even if half of them did, it would be mind-blowing. So that's what I'm excited about. So come 7:30 on the 6th, on the 18th, I'll be on Facebook and X or whatever, and I'll just be watching to see what happens, because I'm expecting this stream of comments to start.
Yeah, is that part of the reason that it's come back? It's because of the loyal fan
No
base?
question. Amazon have said that. They've said that they saw the number of people who watched it, they saw the outpouring of grief, they saw the petitions and the Facebook posts, and they just said, hang on, this is crazy. This show's hugely popular. And of course, it's easy to forget that Neighbours didn't finish because it wasn't popular. It finished because the money wasn't there.
Right.
So it was a funding issue, and Amazon's fixed that.
Love that. Yeah. And in the trailer, we've got new temptations, new scandals, new betrayals. So what can we expect?
Well, we know it's a 2-year time gap between Neighbours ending and Neighbours starting again. So a lot can happen in 2 years. A hell of a lot can happen in 2 years. So a lot of the new season, the new chapter as they're calling it, will be about the previous 2 years. What happened? I mean, why is the world suddenly like this? Wedding at the beginning, big wedding, big twist to that wedding, which has ramifications for months. New family turning up on the street at the same time, a new character running Harrods, and all your old favourites. It's like, as they say down at Ramsay Street, it's the perfect blend.
Love that. So the show has run for almost 40 years, and Dr Karl Kennedy has been in the show for almost 30. I'll say that again, almost 30 years, 28 years to be precise.
Yes.
Is there a part of you, Alan, that is a real doctor?
I can say angioblastic T-cell lymphoma without thinking about it. That's good enough for me.
Do you go around the place of misdiagnosing people?
Yeah, I actually make quite a lot of money on the side with my little miniature medical practice.
I can see you on like off screen.
Yeah, I could get
in your own time.
Get a little caravan, drive around the streets, park up. Free medical advice.
Nothing dodgy here. Looking back, what are your favourite storylines?
Oh, so many.
So many, yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, my favourite episode was episode 7,000. A lot of people know this.
Episode 7,000?
Yeah, specifically. And the reason it's my favourite is it's completely self-contained, right? Karl Kennedy announces in the scene 3 or whatever that he's found a scratch-it ticket which was unscratched, and he does it. It's worth $7,000, right? Now we know Karl Kennedy in money, right? It's very exciting. So he goes off roaming around Ramsay Street collecting lemons to make lemon curd and loses his ticket. So then he has to go back around Ramsay Street, retrace his steps, and when he gets to Toadie's house, he has to nude up to go in because Toadie's having a naturalist lunch. Completely normal thing to happen, right? And he finds his scratch-it ticket stuck to Toadie's backside.
That's not the answer I was expecting.
Yeah, but there's been many great stories. Susan and Karl marrying on the Thames, Libby and Drew's wedding, you name it. There's so many wonderful memories. And
now, to celebrate the return of Neighbours, you've released a song.
I have. This is a song I've been performing for a while on stage shows, and when we got to the Neighbours Celebration tour, we used it to introduce Susan Kennedy to the stage, because she is the Queen of Ramsay Street.
She is.
And we felt there was no better way to bring her on than to sing my song, I've Got a Crush on Susie K, which is basically a fan tribute to the Queen. And so Jackie loves it, which is nice, and the fans loved it. So everyone said to me after that tour, they sent me emails and Facebook and everything saying, please release it, please release it. So I decided, yeah, let's put it out. September the 8th. It was out on all the streamers and just in time for Neighbours.
It's hilarious and it's so, loving towards your on-screen wife. You said Jackie Woodburn loved it. I mean, what has her reaction been like?
Well, I got a gorgeous piece of footage which a friend sent me, where when I'm singing it on stage, someone videotaped her backstage and she's sitting there dancing away to her song. So and she absolutely loved it. She supported it all the way and let me use artwork and so forth. Yeah.
I love that. I'm disappointed I can't see a guitar in this room. I'm not
sorry.
going to lie. But it's available to stream.
It is available to stream, all the obvious streamers. And if you really want to do me a favour, and if you want to listen to it, great. I love you to listen to it, but you could always follow me. That would be amazing. That way all the algorithms go, who's this guy Alan Fletcher? Why is everyone following me?
Acting, music, photography. All of these things, to me, they sort of point towards romantic traits in a person.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, right. So, are you a romantic person?
I'm a very romantic person. I'm a complete crybaby. I'm a sook. I cry at Little House on the Prairie, which you probably can't remember that show. Anyway,
I'm aware of it.
I cry at really cheesy things make me cry, and I'm a bit of a sentimentalist. But it's interesting you talk about those three different areas because people often say, do you prefer acting or music or photography or anything? And my primary thing is I'm a storyteller. And when you're an actor, you're generally telling someone else's story unless you create your own work. I've done short films that I wrote, for instance, and things like that, but you're generally telling someone else's story and it can be over a long period of time, which is fun. But then when you're a musician, you tell your own stories by writing a song that lasts 3 minutes and that's your little encapsulated story. And when you do gigs, you can do 15 little miniature stories. And the thing about photography is storytelling in stills. Every photo has to have a story, and that's what makes it potent.
So if people are always asking you which one's your favourite, I'm not to ask this question now then, am I?
Well, my favourite thing to do is to play music while photographing the audience and then play it back and act opposite it.
It's like, very meta, a world within a world within.
Yeah, exactly.
When it comes to love songs then, this is what you've created about our dear Susan. Do you have a favourite love song? Because obviously coming out of Neighbours, we got Kylie and we got Jason.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite love song?
Yeah, I do actually. It's a Jason Isbell song. It's an Emmy Award-winning song. It's called "If We Were Vampires," and what it basically says thematically, I think it's one of those clever songs I've ever heard. And what it's basically saying is, if we were vampires, then we would never die. We'd go out on the pavement and smoke, but the thing is, our love wouldn't be as meaningful because we would never die. And what he's cleverly saying is, in fact, the fact that life is short, that's what makes love so precious. It's a very clever song.
I love that, beautiful. So, moving on to the UK.
Yeah.
This is somewhere that you've come a lot over the years for work.
Yep.
And you've actually said it's kind of like a second home to you, right?
Totally.
In fact, now you've just got here, you're running on 2 hours sleep.
Yeah, it's all fun.
What is it about the UK that you like so much?
Well, I had the pleasure of, when I did my photography show called Photo Number 6, I went and visited my great-great-great-great-grandfather's grave at Abingdon. I had a lot of family came from here on my dad's side. And so, relatives everywhere. And so I feel, I have a very strong bond with the country and so forth. I think for me, it's the antiquity here that I love. I particularly love up north. It's beautiful for me. I love the dales and the castles, and you've got to remember, for Australia, a lot of Australia's attractions are the natural wonders, many of which are incredibly important to the Indigenous Australians who have been there for 60,000 years. So we have a completely different type of history. Whereas if I come here, things like Stonehenge and you know, as I say, castles.
Can I say castle? Yes, yeah. So much history.
So much history, and I love that. It's a real contrast. Plus, you know, there's a lot of similarity between the two countries in a way.
Yeah, it's amazing that, isn't it? I always think about that. We're so far away from each other, but culturally pretty tight.
Except when we're playing cricket against each other, when it just gets plain nasty.
Yeah, it gets fierce. Yeah, I've got a friend actually. Me and him, we do I think Brits love to do an Aussie accent. It's just something we do. Oh no, I was not leading into that, but
come on. You say g'day, mate.
G'day, mate.
It's not bad. G'day, mate.
Everybody needs good neighbours.
Everybody needs good neighbours. Yeah. I mean,
so me and a friend, we almost exclusively talk Australian to each other. It's just weird. It's something we do. What's your favourite UK accent? Is my gateway?
Well, probably Liverpool.
Go on, let's hear it.
Well, I come from Liverpool. What do you think you're doing? That was terrible.
Channel your bonnet. You're not your bonnet. Your pool and your job.
No, I mean, I love Liverpool. I support the Liverpool Football Club. I go to Liverpool whenever I can. I love the people. And I love its working class thing. I also love the fact that Liverpool has a very strong Irish connection. So to me, it's like it kind of marries Ireland, across onto England. It's just a beautiful place to be, and they're beautiful people, and yeah.
Love that. There's a lot of culture there. I get that. Back to Neighbours. You had a spectacular end in 2022. A lot of familiar faces came back with Kylie, Jason Donovan, even Guy Pearce.
Bless him.
How was that? How was that final episode filming that?
I know Jason well, I know Guy well, Peter O'Brien came back. Even though we don't see each other all the time, it's still hail fellow well met. You know what I mean? It can be years between drinks, and you suddenly go, "Oh, g'day mate, how are you? Thanks for coming back." And it was like that. It was just old home week. And I so admired Guy coming back in particular, because he did 3 episodes at the end, and some of the best scenes of the final episodes he was in, and he was involved in with Jane. So it wasn't just, walking in and doing a little cameo. I mean, it was all hail to the people who did that as well. But Peter O'Brien did a substantial thing as well. And also the final scene on the street, you saw Phil Martin, you saw Madge again, the ghost of Madge. And, it was gorgeous. Yeah. There were 37 actors on the street for the final scene, and one for every year of the show. And it was beautiful. Although we didn't think we were going to get it shot because the weather was so bad, we were worried we weren't going to get it.
Yeah, it's amazing, because I guess they don't have to have done that, but there must be something really pulling them back into.
Well, that's what Guy said to me, was that he and Kylie and Jason, everyone was in contact with each other, and they all agreed to come back because they felt like they owed Neighbours so much. It would have given them in their life.
Yeah.
So it was basically saying we want to give back.
You have worked with an extensive list of incredible actors in your time. If I say the word Barbie, does that mean much to you?
Well, Barbie was fantastic on Neighbours. So. I was actually talking about Margot earlier to somebody, and I'm so full of admiration for her. She's created this incredible film, but not just that film, but I, Tonya and Birds of Prey and so forth. She and her husband. She's an enormous talent, a spectacular talent. She always was. From the first moment she walked onto the show, Jackie and I just said, this girl, honestly, she's just going to go through the stratosphere. Down to earth, still who she is, amazing, just incredible.
And you remember doing scenes with her?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, in fact, I remember one scene I remember really strongly, because Margot did a lot of comedy and she was very good at it. And then I remember a scene where she had to do this big breakdown scene. And just like effortlessly, she was in a dribbling mess, And you go, man, this is this person is a great actor.
And in relation to Barbie, about Kennedy and the other guy, would you feel like you fit more as a Ken or an Alan?
I certainly could never see myself as a Ken, to be perfectly honest.
I just had my head on. I feel like I'm close to that today.
I haven't got the dress sense for Ken.
Well, that's cool. So I've also noticed in some interviews that you've done, especially when shows kind of play back old clips over the years, you seem very emotionally invested in your scenes and in your stories that you've told on Neighbours.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why are you so connected?
Well, because you throw so much into them. You know, I mean, the thing is, you do invest when you create the scenes. You know, it's really interesting the kind of the duplicity of an actor's life, because sometimes you go and do a scene which requires enormous emotional input. You know, like say Carl and Susan marrying on the Thames. And when we were doing that scene, the boat was going up and down the river, the light was fading, the wind was howling, and the director was on another boat just screaming at us, just keep marrying each other until we've got it. So Jackie and I literally said the vows just over and over again. And every time we said them, we cried again. And it's that kind of emotional investment that leaves you quite drained. But you have to just walk away from it at the other end and go, hey, that was fun. Mm-hmm. But you remember, you never forget it. It's implanted in here because you threw so much into it. That's
so lovely to hear, because, you know, soaps are on every day at the same time. It could be like any other job, but it's really lovely to hear that after all these years, you're still, you care so much.
Yeah, it's interesting because the whole term soap, which we use, of course we use it because that's what they are. They're called soap operas. But for me, Neighbours is a drama. That's why what I'm invested in. And it's nothing, I don't think anything happens on Neighbours that doesn't happen in a myriad of other dramas. It's just that people don't notice the difference. They don't notice that the kind of extraordinary things that happen on Neighbours actually happen on other shows. I mean, I give it to you, you know, the only thing, compared to Breaking Bad, the Neighbours is tame. You know what I mean? Although I think really Karl Kennedy probably should start, cooking meth? No, definitely not.
Quote unquote.
Definitely not. So, you know, I mean, for me it's a drama, and of course they're only ever called soap operas because of the radio thing and soap show. Yes. Soap powder used to invest them. So, for me, the Neighbours is a drama that I'm as proud of as if I have been in, you know, the Queen or whatever, you know,
in Albert Square.
Crown, yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. In fact, you were in Albert Square once.
I was in Albert Square. I was a little social media guesting.
From Ramsay Street to Albert Square, I love that so much. Now we're in London. This is where we're doing this wonderful interview, and I'd say London on the whole don't even really know what their neighbours even look like. Mm-hmm. And now, after all these years, knowing what Dr. Karl Kennedy knows and how complicated and dramatic those relationships can be, would his advice be to ignore your neighbours or leave your house, knock on the door and get to know them?
Well, I would always advise people to get to know your neighbours, and there's a very practical point to this too. Where I live, in my suburban street, everyone knows everybody. But we don't get into each other's faces. We don't, you know what I mean. But once a year we'll have a street party for Christmas or something. But we know, because we're there for each other, if there's a crisis, you know where to go. And honestly, you know, if you've got a problem one day and you don't know who's next door, then that's kind of letting yourself down. So yeah, go on, knock on their door.
Listen, Alan, thank you so much. I have to say, I think my experience of Neighbours growing up was probably a similar story that a lot of people could connect to. Come home from school, I'd run to my cupboard, get a bowl of cereal, put the telly on, watch Neighbours, then The Simpsons, then dinner comes along. Yeah. And that was my routine, Monday to Friday, for a lot of years. So it was a real special thing, and family would join, and, you know, every generation in the house was watching. And I think so many people have similar, connections to the show and to your character. So, you know, thanks for those memories, man. It's really, really great.
Thank you. That's really kind. It's been a pleasure creating those memories for everyone. But more importantly, it's just going to be wonderful on the 18th of September to sit back and think everyone's back on the couch. Grandma, mum and daughter or son are all on the couch watching Neighbours together again.
Love that. Well, good luck with the song. Good luck with the return of Neighbours.
Thank you. Great to chat.
On DAB Digital Radio across South West London, this is Riverside Radio.